Hello, and welcome to MindTales. This channel helps you to learn English through knowledgeable or motivational stories. So, subscribe now to get more videos. Today's topic is the partition time of India. Let me take you back to a time when a country was about to get freedom, but something happened that no one expected. This is not just a story about politics or maps. This is a story about people. People who laughed together, lived together, and prayed under the same sky for many years until one night, everything changed. The year was 1947. India had been ruled by the British for almost 200 years. Now, it was finally going to be free. But that freedom came with pain. A line was drawn on the map. This line divided not just land, but also hearts, homes, and families. This was the time of partition, one of the biggest and saddest movements of people in history. More than 14 million people had to leave their homes. In the middle of the chaos, over 1 million people died. Neighbors became strangers. Friends became refugees. Love was broken. Humanity was hurt. But this is not a story about numbers. This is a story about Mumtaz and Rajinder, about two families, one Muslim, one Sikh, who were torn apart by a decision they did not make. This is a story about survival, memories, strength, and most importantly, hope. So come, sit with me, and listen carefully, because sometimes the best way to learn about history is not from books, but from the hearts of the people who lived through it. This is the story of partition, a story of pain and the power to heal. Let me take you back to the year 1947. India was not just a country back then. It was a land full of people, cultures, and shared memories. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, and others lived together in villages and cities, celebrated festivals side by side, shared food, laughed, and cried together. After almost 200 years of British rule, the people of India were about to get freedom. There was hope in the air. But along with that hope came fear and unrest. That freedom came with a heavy cost. The country was going to be divided into two parts, India and Pakistan. A line was drawn not only on the map, but also through homes, towns, and hearts. India's fight for independence had been long and painful. From the first major uprising in 1857 to Mahatma Gandhi's nonviolent protests, people had given their blood, faced beatings, gone to jail, and lived through famine. Yet they stayed united for the dream of a free India. But near the end of British rule, deep religious and political differences started to grow. The Indian National Congress, led by leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru and Mahatma Gandhi, wanted a united, secular India. But the All India Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, began asking for a separate nation for Muslims. After years of mistrust and riots, the decision to split the country was made. It was a decision that changed millions of lives forever. The British wanted to leave quickly. They sent Lord Louis Mountbatten to manage the transfer of power. A British lawyer named Cyril Radcliffe, who had never visited India before, was asked to draw the new borders between India and Pakistan. He was given only 5 weeks to complete this huge and important task. He used maps and old records, but no real knowledge of the land or the people. The lines he drew ran through rivers, towns, farms, and families. The states of Punjab and Bengal were divided in a rush. Cities like Lahore, Amritsar, and Calcutta were filled with confusion, fear, and tension. People who had lived as neighbors for generations now looked at each other with fear and doubt. In the city of Amritsar, a 16-year-old Muslim girl named Mumtaz Begum lived with her family. Her father owned a cloth shop. Their home was full of laughter, food, and love. They had Hindu and Sikh neighbors who were like family. But one night, their peaceful world was broken. Screams filled the air. Flames rose in the sky. People ran from their homes. Gunshots echoed in the streets. Mumtaz held her baby sister's hand tightly as her father shouted for the family to run. Her mother grabbed a small bundle of clothes, and together they joined a crowd of people trying to escape the violence. They walked for miles toward Lahore. The trains were overcrowded, with people hanging from doors and windows. Some trains were attacked. Some never arrived. The train Mumtaz and her family boarded was silent, filled with fear. People were hungry, tired, and heartbroken. Her brother got separated during the journey. Her mother became sick. Her baby sister cried through the nights. Her father whispered to her, "We will rebuild." But everything around them felt broken. At the same time, in Lahore, a 15-year-old Sikh boy named Rajinder Singh was facing his own nightmare. His family was forced to leave their home and run toward Delhi. Rajinder had once dreamed of school, cricket, and a happy life. Now, he was carrying his younger brother on his back, walking past broken trains and bodies lying on railway tracks. His father was badly injured in a riot. With his last breath, he told Rajinder, "Don't stop, survive." Rajinder didn't stop. He kept walking with his family, guiding them through the chaos. When Rajinder finally reached Delhi, he found shelter in a crowded refugee camp. Tents were set up under the burning sun. People had nothing left but memories. There, in another tent across the muddy road, he saw Mumtaz and her family. They didn't speak. They only looked at each other. Two people, once neighbors, now refugees in different lands. After partition, India and Pakistan were born. Pakistan became a country mainly for Muslims. India stayed a secular country, open to all religions. But the partition didn't bring peace. It brought more fear and more pain. Over 14 million people were forced to leave their homes and move to a new land. Around 2 million people died in the violence, killed in riots, lost to hunger, or simply disappeared. Trains full of dead bodies arrived at stations. Women were kidnapped or assaulted. Children wandered the roads, searching for parents who would never return. Life slowly moved on. Mumtaz started working in Karachi. She cleaned houses and taught her sister how to speak Urdu. She missed Amritsar's rains and the sound of her neighbors' laughter. Rajinder studied engineering in Delhi. He built bridges and later became a teacher. He told his students stories of survival and ended every class with one message: never forget. They both married and had children. They tried to build new lives, but the pain of the past never left. In the 1950s, survivors began sharing their stories. Community groups collected letters, old photographs, and memories of that time. People from both sides of the border came together to remember. Partition museums were built in Delhi and Lahore, places where people could learn about the real pain behind the history. People talked not just about loss, but also about courage and kindness. They spoke of strangers who gave food, of mothers who protected children from mobs, of men who helped others even when they had lost everything. In 1997, on the 50th anniversary of partition, something special happened. Survivors from both India and Pakistan gathered at the border. They stood near the Radcliffe line. They did not shout. They did not fight. They stood in silence. Some held hands. Others placed flowers on the fence. They cried for the families they lost. They forgave. In that moment, they turned pain into peace. But even after so many years, politics continued to divide the two countries. Wars broke out over Kashmir. Fear returned. Hate returned. But among ordinary people, stories of love and kindness still lived on. Stories passed from one generation to another. Stories that reminded people that even during the worst times, there were good people who helped and cared. Mumtaz and Rajinder are no longer alive, but their children and grandchildren carry their stories. They cook old recipes, speak in Urdu and Punjabi, and write poems about cities they've never seen. Rajinder's granddaughter says, "My grandfather never hated anyone. He said hate divides more than borders." Mumtaz's son writes poetry about the mango trees of Lahore and the smell of rain in Amritsar. The story of partition is not just about land or maps. It is a story of people. People who lost everything, but still chose to forgive. People who carried pain in their hearts, but still built new lives. It is a story of wounds, but also of healing. It is a story of loss, but also of hope. And in the end, it reminds us all, hate can build walls, but only love and kindness can build bridges that last.